straightened out his Instagram. Yes, he has, I can tell. All right, Rod Turner is in the house. We just did a quick swap. Manhattan Capital, there he is. AI is elevating and amplifying our expertise. It's a synthesized technology to capture how we think and do and allow others to do the same. Rod, are you available?
I am indeed. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you, but maybe if you switch your camera the other way, it's shooting out into your room. But I can hear you. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. You know, that's funny. That is really funny because I was seeing that image, which was the other side of my room, but I wasn't recognizing it. It looked like somebody else's place. I had no clue.
Well, I have a funny story. One of my friends is blind, and the first time we met was on an interview, and it was the same story, but I didn't know he was blind. We hadn't met before, and so I was saying, hey, it took him a while to figure out because he was actually blind and had no idea, and the person that was helping him obviously wasn't looking. So it's nice to know that that was an easy transition. Look, you are one of the most experienced people when it comes to capital, venture capital, startups. You have paid, I'm sure, in that space, as founder of Manhattan Street Capital, you've even paid more dummy tax than I've paid. I know people that live in California. They're not afraid of California taxes because they know the most expensive tax is the dummy tax, and they'd rather pay the 12% for nice weather and only worry about the dummy tax, which is it can cost you 100%. Of everything you own, not just what you made this year. But it's nice to know that when you have launched the new AI RodBot, you now have synthesized all the dummy tax, all the lessons, all the ways that you strategize with your expertise, your background, the blogs, webinar, all of your knowledge now can be brought forth to say, hey, what would Rod do? Right? I use it on myself. I'm like, hey, rewrite this as if you're David Meltzer, speaker, author, entrepreneur, sports executive, whatever it is. How have you found the accuracy of the AI RodBot as far as a great partner in the capital markets?
You know, that's a great question, of course. So it's a doubly challenging task because of the regulatory environment we're in, right? So the RodBot, being a part of my company, it can't be answering questions that I'm not allowed to answer. So that's where I've been putting the most training into sort of guiding the RodBot as to what it can and cannot discuss. But it is accurate. It's surprisingly accurate. You know, I get people asking very obtuse questions, detailed questions. So in each case, I go through to make sure that what the RodBot is saying is right on the money. And there are adjustments that need to be made. Occasionally, it's interpolating, making assumptions, and making them incorrectly. So I'm adjusting for that. But it is very, very accurate, and I'm delighted by that. Because some of the questions I wasn't expecting. Do you know what I mean? They're obtuse enough. They're not really in the realm of what we would normally see. But we've got all of ChatGPT 4.0 Pro, as well as all of our knowledge base built into the RodBot, as well as the training, if you will, the guidance that I've been adding and I continue to add. So it's actually really good. I'm very pleased with the accuracy of the results and how detailed the questions are. You know, people are asking a lead question and then a follow-up and then another follow-up. One CEO, these are anonymous questions. I don't know the people. They have a choice to follow up with me or with my company afterwards. But the CEO was asking about what methods of solicitation they're allowed to make in a Reg A 506B, which is very obtuse stuff.
Yes,
you know, a lot of security attorneys will find it hard to immediately off the cuff answer those questions. So I was very pleased to see that the advice that guy got after 5 or 6 levels of questions was right on the money and very delicate from a regulatory standpoint.
It's one thing to be right on the money, and it's great that with an understanding AI makes humans more human. It's not a master. There's no fear involved for me in using AI, and I do it all the time. But I also use it to check myself because it stimulates me because it's synthesized data that I don't remember, but I've recorded. And so for me, I find it fascinating when I answer something and then put my answer through AI and say, please answer this question
Yeah,
as if you're David Meltzer, speaker, author, entrepreneur, sports executive, or
yeah,
venture capitalist, or TV media guy, whatever framework I want to give it.
yeah,
And then it answers it, and I won't say better than it just answers it by being able to aggregate more of my own thoughts than I
yeah,
have the capacity to do.
yeah, yeah,
And it's a brilliant tool, and it allows me, but it has to have the human interaction.
yeah,
It has to have you still there to guide what the better answers are, or the clearer answers are.
yeah.
And that's where I believe AI makes humans more human. What's amazing, Rod, is that, obviously there's a lot of compliance issues in
Mhm.
what you do, and you do it so well because you've been here for so many years. I always say there's one thing I know about guys in capital. If they're still in capital when they get to be over 50, then they're here to stay,
Yeah.
because there's no way they haven't learned the lessons and haven't done things the right way. Because sooner or later, especially in the capital markets, sooner or later the truth catches up with you.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, the older you get, the more people should admire you are. But technology, on the other hand, is avoided by some of the successful, more experienced financial people.
Yeah.
It's avoided like the COVID or the
Yeah.
plague. Why did you lean into technology? Obviously, it's had great benefits, but I want to encourage more people our age to lean into
Yeah.
technology, not be afraid of it.
Yeah. So to my mind, there's a lot of reasons for this. I mean, I've been delighted with my use of ChatGPT 4.0, and some other good large language models. But part of it is that there's a hesitance for people to ask questions because they don't want to have to deal with somebody. They don't want to have to sign up and pay. They want to get essentially they don't want to be in a situation where they're feeling obligated. So they don't want to have a sales call, but they do want answers to their questions. So a chatbot provides an unthreatening way for people to research a subject and learn a lot more. But what I'm finding is that people aren't automatically doing it. There's a heck of a lot of people using the chat GPTs of the world, obviously, but I think there's a tendency not to know that you can ask these kinds of questions. How can I raise money? How can I market my offering? How can I use a large language model in my marketing to raise money for my company? These kinds of questions people don't know that they can ask, I suppose you would say. So for me, this is just a way of leveraging content we already have and extending its reach to help more people, to make it easier for them. Because the way I look at this is this whole online capital raising game is about making it easier to raise money, making it more efficient to raise money. And we have an advantage, which is also a disadvantage. We've chosen not to be a broker dealer because I don't think that's the way of the future. I think we should be finding ways to make online capital raising easier and easier. And going back and stepping back into a brick and mortar model and being a broker dealer doesn't fit that, to my mind. Plus, the overhead of dealing with FINRA as a regulator is very, very expensive. So we do have an advantage, though. The disadvantage is that entrepreneurs tend to assume that a broker dealer will solve all their problems. All they have to do is find one and sign up. And that is not the case, of course. Broker dealers can do wonderful things, but the fact that they're available and you might be able to sign up a contract with one doesn't mean that they'll do what you would like done, because there's such a big gap between what they'd like to accomplish and what they necessarily will accomplish, depending on the market dynamics and so forth. Um, so that is a challenge about our strategy. But on the plus side, because we are not a broker dealer, therefore we're not regulated by FINRA, we can do the chatbot. A broker dealer isn't able to do that. FINRA will never let them out, of the red zone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasant experience for me to be able to help people, CEOs and CFOs, figure out and entrepreneurs to figure out the capital raising game process and how to succeed in it in a way that we're uniquely able to do, right? Because we are literally freer than broker dealers are to answer questions and provide help.
And with more unaccredited investors today than ever, and Reg A filings and other things that we can do, it's really nice to have an unregulated chat bot, RodBot, in order to facilitate getting some background and then being able to follow up and call you directly
Yeah.
and utilize Manhattan Street Capital. I encourage everyone to reach out. Where can people use the RodBot?
So it's on the homepage of manhattanstreetcapital.com. So just go there and you'll see it. And people now, we're adding, it's either in the next few days it'll be live, where every FAQ and every blog post includes a link directly into the RodBot to ask follow-up questions, to make it more and more available. So yeah, but we are regulated by the
Right.
SEC. So I don't want to suggest that we're not, but we're not regulated by FINRA. Actually, the SEC, it turns out, is a rather efficient giant bureaucracy, in my opinion. They're very efficient at what they do. FINRA is a lot more challenging. They're a lot less efficient, frankly. So not being regulated by FINRA is a breath of fresh air, as most broker dealers would agree if we were
Of
to
course.
interview them.
And you are a breath of fresh air. Hopefully, you can make it up on Monday night. We're in Orange County. We would love to have you join our neighborhood up in Orange County. We're filming our 2 Minute
And
Drill season 6. So I'll get my team to invite you
thank,
up to join us and
thank you.
meet some extraordinary people. Thank you, Rod. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Lovely. I love the topics that were being discussed earlier. I love the way you operate, Dave. This is super. I'm on the same page as you. It might not be apparent that I would be, but I really care about these things. Self-improvement, optimizing the human experience, right on the money. Super. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, you're part of our neighborhood now. Thanks, Rod. No getting out. We'll talk to you soon.